Hello and welcome to the April 13th, 2025 episode of Nick's News. I am your host, Nick, brought to you by Some Budget Studios. That's right, we're paying into this project of ours. We're live every Sunday, and I thank you all so much for tuning in or catching the replay on the Nick's News Facebook page or the YouTube page. We are streaming on YouTube, so if you're here with us, thank you so much for making the jump to YouTube. This is a program dedicated to bringing good news to counter all of the bad news that we are bombarded with on a daily basis with the hope of bringing a little bit of joy back to the world. Several of our articles are pulled from sites like goodnewsnetwork.org and goodgoodgood.co, but we appreciate everything sent in by you, the viewers. So, hello, Queen of Nerds in the chat. Yes, the ticker was off for some reason. I'm going to have to keep working on it. I'm not quite sure why. It just ran, like we do testing and everything. I run through all of our scenes, and it just wanted to be off when we started the stream, so whatever. All right. Hey, Nico. News brew for tonight. So, this wonderful, beautiful can is Anastasia from Brew Detroit Brewery. This is an 11.5% ABV Russian Imperial Stout. It's aged in bourbon barrels, and this is going to start, it's going to kick off our run-up to May. Now, if you keep an eye on our Instagram, you'll see that I post on Thursdays a sneak peek of the news brew, and I talked about the run-up to May. Starting now, every beer that we have running up to our May 4th episode is going to be higher ABV than the last. We're starting off at 11.5, so that should tell you we're going to climb from there. So, we do not need, yes, a very pretty can from Queen of Nerds. We do not need the Balisong bottle opener because it's a can, so we're just going to blow the gain on it. And because it is an Imperial Stout, we are enjoying it with the limited edition Harpoon Snifter. I really got to get another snifter to change things up. I have a ton of Tiku glasses. I could use some Tiku glasses. Just blow the gain on the audio. And we'll get into the theatrics of a however many second pour. Oh, it is motor oil. Oh, it's dark. Even the head is dark. Get every last drop out of there. There we go. Wow, the bourbon is aggressive. Holy crap. Looking forward to this one. Shoutouts. The John Ball Zoo in Grand Rapids, Michigan will be hosting its annual Lantern Festival from April 9th to June 15th. Specific days with specific hours vary depending on the month, so you can check their website for the dates and times for it. Tickets are required and can be purchased online in advance. The Lantern Festival is a 1-mile-long light tour through the John Ball Zoo, and the festival features handcrafted Asian lantern displays that will illuminate the zoo and tell the intersecting story of wildlife and Asian culture. I went to it a few years ago, and I will be going to it again this year. It is an absolutely beautiful show, so if you find yourself in the Grand Rapids, Michigan area, check out the John Ball Zoo Festival, Light Festival. Lantern Festival. John Ball Zoo Lantern Festival. Hi, Rebecca. Oh. Oh. Oh, it's thick. Oh, it's aggressive. Oh, it is a Russian Imperial Stout. Russian Imperial Stouts are usually heavily hopped, aggressive stouts. That is every bit a Russian Imperial Stout. Wow. It's thick. Next shout out, happy birthday to our bomb-ass bitch, a graphics guru and tech master, Grayson, whose special day is going to be Friday the 18th. So to you, Grayson, for everything you do for Nick's News, thank you so much, and happy birthday coming up. Last shout out. If you are going to be in the Grand Haven area on April 25th, it's a Friday, I believe, right? correct me if I'm wrong, Producer Donna, but I'm pretty sure April 25th is a Friday. From 5 to 7 p.m., we'd like to invite you to Fox and Hen Winery for the first ever Nick's News meet and greet. That's right, we're going to have a little meet and greet because producer Donna will be visiting the area for the first time and is excited to meet as many of the Nick's Newsies as she possibly can. Or as many of you that can. Yes, it's a Friday. Thank you, Producer Donna. So yeah, April 25th from 5 to 7 p.m., Producer Donna and I are both going to be at Fox and Hen Winery in Grand Haven, Michigan. So if you want to swing out and meet Producer Donna, that would be absolutely awesome because she wants to meet as many of you as possible. I have a script to read about this. Rumor has it there may be swag bags featuring some of our newly printed merch and special event only items that will not be for sale. If you can't make it to the meet and greet, the new merch will be introduced on the May 4th episode and be available for purchase. Don't worry, we started small. You won't have to sell a kidney. So that's right. If you can make it out on April 25th from 5 to 7 to hang with me and producer Donna, you may get your hands on a swag bag of future Nick's News merchandise. Apparently, producer Donna has made good on the merch. If you can't make it, that's all right. The merch is gonna drop on May 4th. Fantastic. To producer Donna, who's gonna be swinging out, and to all of you in advance that can join us. Cheers. Becky in the chat, remind me and I will try to go. Julie, well, dang, I'm going to have to try to come out. Becky again, ooh, swagger. Free swag bag from producer Donna. And the merch drop on May 4th. So we'll do reminders constantly leading up to it. Not just through our episodes, but we'll also put it in some posts to let you all know. So that's really cool. All right, news quote. One's life has value so long as one attributes value to the life of others, by means of love, friendship, indignation, and compassion. That comes from Simone, Lucie, Ernestine, Marie, Bertrand de Beauvoir, who is a French existentialist philosopher, a writer, and I have a typo there that I'm going to have to fix in post, social theorist, and feminist activist. So again, one's life has value so long as one attributes value to the life of others, by means of love, friendship, indignation, and compassion. Thank you very much. Simone, Lucie, Ernestine, Marie, Bertrand de Beauvoir. Oh, that's good. Bug update. The cricket hasn't stopped chirping. Chirping every day, chirping every night. I moved him into Ripley's house of horrors, and yet he persists. And woe be me, who discovered a second chirping male in the feeder vivarium. Oh, the suffering, the incessant chirping. When shall it ever end? In other news, Sue has been pretty active, digging up new burrows, and Mantis MacLeod is doing A-okay. Now we just need Elmira to wake up, and the bug set will be complete. And then I will have to figure out if I want to somehow set up a camera to constantly watch this area so that folks can see Elmira once she's woken up, and Sue whenever he wants to be angry. Not the chirping! Not the chirping! Die, cricket! The telltale cricket from producer Donna. Julie, okay, hi guys, wanted to chat when I heard the news about Donna now throwing you up on the TV, which is awesome. Thank you, Julie, for putting us on the TV. All right, let's get into our good news. Our broadcast is broken up into 4 major categories, and those categories are science and technology, health and medicine, flora and fauna, aka plants and animals, and wholesome notes, the really nice articles we like to end on. So, oh, you missed the John Ball Zoo stuff? Well, Julie, just a reminder, John Ball Zoo is doing the Festival of Lights, or the Lantern Festival, between April 9th and June 15th, and I will be making it out to it. So I'll probably post ahead if folks want to walk a mile through the zoo with me. It'll be a good trip. That was about it for the John Ball Zoo stuff. All right. Let's get into our first category, science and technology. We call this one, She Sells Seashells by the Concrete Store. And this is from Cassidy. So Cassidy, thank you so much for sending in this article. I will copy and paste this into the chat if y'all want to read along. Producer Donna thought I would screw that title up, and I didn't. Oh, the penguin voting. Yes, there was penguin voting. There is penguin voting. Is the penguin voting still going on? I think the penguin voting might still be going on. There's voting for John Ball Zoo's penguin for the name. It's fantastic. I was going to wait to see. Yep. Oh, I did fine on the title. Thank you, Producer Donna. All right. Yes, go vote for Phil. Yes, so the penguin voting is still open. There will be a link somewhere. We posted it a couple times on the Knicks News page. It's on the Knicks News page. All right, says Producer Donna. Go to the Knicks News page, go to the link, vote Phil for Phil the Penguin for John Ball Zoo's new penguin. All right, let's get to the article. Seawater and CO2 may unlock a game-changing new concrete technology. This was posted to bgr.com on April 4th, 2025, by Joshua Hawkins. Why do I like this article? I studied concrete when I was in school. Structural engineering is really cool to me. Concrete is an amazing material that we use in so much, so it piqued my curiosity. And so anytime we have really good concrete news, like new ways to make it, it's going to be good news. So here we go. A new material made of seawater, carbon dioxide, and electricity could give the construction industry a much-needed climate upgrade. Developed by researchers at Northwestern University, the paste-like substance offers a dual solution, a substitute for mined sand and a way to produce carbon-capturing concrete. Concrete is the world's most widely used synthetic material, but it's also one of the most polluting. Making it releases huge amounts of carbon dioxide and relies heavily on sand dredged from coasts and riverbeds, a practice that can cause serious environmental damage. The Northwestern team's approach uses two common resources, seawater and carbon dioxide, which are run through an electrochemical process to produce a white paste of calcium carbonate and magnesium hydroxide. The material mimics natural processes. Corals and shellfish build their skeletons using similar chemistry, and the researchers say they modeled their method after these organisms. So the same way that mollusks and other shellfish and coral is making its skeleton, is making its shells, its protective outer layers, we're going to copy that. And sometimes copying nature really does work. The researchers say they can control the paste's properties by adjusting variables like voltage, flow rate, and reaction time. This allows them to provide different shapes, sizes, and porosities suited for carbon-capturing concrete mixes, plasters, or even paints. What makes this carbon-capturing concrete alternative particularly promising is its versatility. It can be a substitute for traditional sand and gravel in cement production, reducing the demand for mined materials. Thus, it allows us to make concrete without cement. Because it absorbs carbon dioxide during production rather than emitting it, the paste flips cement's traditional carbon footprint on its head. The process also emits hydrogen as a byproduct, which can be captured and used as a clean energy source. The team notes that this method could be paired with existing cement operations to recycle their own emissions. Cement plants near coastlines could draw seawater directly into on-site reactors, transforming waste CO2 into useful solid building materials. Over time, this could reshape the economics of green cement, especially if the synthetic aggregate proves cheaper than traditional sand. The construction sector has few scalable options for reducing its climate impact. Sure, we've seen some promising environmentally friendly concrete options, which we've posted on Knicks News before, and some have even started being tested in real-world applications. However, carbon-capturing concrete made from abundant and inexpensive ingredients could offer a rare combination of feasibility and climate benefits. That is really cool. To everybody involved with producing new cementless concrete material, at Northwestern University. Cheers. Julie, mentioning the Penguin, said, "Oh, and to Cassidy for sending in that article. Cheers." Julie said, "The competition for the Penguin's name is still going. The finals have started. His name is Phil." All right. We call this next one, Lego is always building better. And this comes from the fact that we have had a number of Lego articles in a short period of time because Lego has been dedicated to making its products better and more efficiently and with climate in mind. So I will copy and paste this into the chat if y'all want to read along. Nico in the chat said, "Yay, Lego!" Lego says its billion-dollar factory in Vietnam will make toys without pumping out harmful emissions. This was posted to the Associated Press, or CTV News website. It was posted by the Associated Press on April 9th of 2025. Lego opened a $1 billion factory in Vietnam on Wednesday that it says will make toys without adding planet-warming gas to the atmosphere by relying entirely on clean energy. The factory in the industrial area of Binh Dong, close to Ho Chi Minh City, is the first in Vietnam that aims to run entirely on clean energy. Lego says it will do that by early 2026. It's the Danish company's 6th worldwide and its 2nd in Asia. It will use high-tech equipment to produce colorful Lego bricks for Southeast Asia's growing markets. "We just want to make sure that the planet that the children inherit when they grow up needs to be a planet that is still there, that is functional," Lego CEO Niels Christensen told the Associated Press. The factory is an important factor in Lego's quest to stop adding greenhouse gases by 2050. It has a shorter-term target of reducing emissions by 37% by 2032. The privately held group makes its bricks out of oil-based plastic and says it has invested more than $1.2 billion in a search for more sustainable alternatives, but those efforts have not always been successful. Fast industrializing Vietnam also aims to achieve net zero emissions by 2050, so it needs more of its factories to use clean energy. The country hopes the plant's 12,400 solar panels and energy storage system will help set a precedent for more sustainable manufacturing. That is awesome. Jeez. Locating the Lego factories in regions they supply has also helped insulate them from the tariffs ordered by U.S. President Donald Trump, Christensen said. "Right now, I am probably more observant of what does this mean to the growth in the world. Do we see consumer sentiment changing in parts of the world or not? And what would that potentially mean?" he said. The blocks are made from differently colored plastic grains that are melted at high temperatures and then fed into metal molds. The highly automated factory uses robots for making the bricks to a tenth of a hair's width precision and then packaging them. It eventually will employ thousands of mostly skilled workers to operate these machines. Fantastic. Some of them have already begun work after being trained in the Lego's factory in eastern China. Manufacturing makes up a fifth of Vietnam's GDP and consumes half the energy it uses. There are plans to phase out its coal power plants by 2040. Very good to hear on Vietnam's part. Julie in the chat, "I love Lego. They need to make an otter set." Julie, I agree. The Lego factory, which spans 62 soccer fields, sets the blueprint for making large, power-guzzling factories sustainable while remaining profitable, said Mimi Vu, a founder of the consultancy Ray's Partners in Ho Chi Minh City. "Sometimes it takes a big company like Lego to take those risks, to show that we can do it and we can be profitable," she said. The factory will benefit from a new 2024 rule known as a Direct Power Purchase Agreement, or a DPPA, which allows for big foreign companies to buy clean energy directly from solar and wind power producers and to meet their clean energy requirements, which is what Lego is doing. Becky in the chat, "I want a unicorn set that is not girly." That would be interesting. Isn't there a movie coming out about finding a unicorn? Maybe they can make that. It sounds like it's going to be a horror flick, so that would be cool. Nico in the chat, they have some minifig size otters, but I'm not sure they're in any current sets. Aw, darn. Alright, the factory will be linked to an adjacent energy center where electricity can be stored in large batteries. So even if the sun is only shining during the day, we store the energy and can use it all over. That will cover by far the majority of the consumption of the factory, added Christensen. That's fantastic. The remaining 10 to 20% of the factory's energy needs will be met through agreements with other clean energy producers. Lego in Vietnam, we are having the same aspirations. We both want to be green, to play our part in the climate. And I think with this, with the solar and battery and DPPA, it is showcasing that it can be done. Jesper Haslund Mikkelsen, Senior Vice President Asia Operations at the Lego Group, told the Associated Press. The company will also open a distribution center in Vietnam's southern Dong Nai province to help serve markets in Australia and other Asian countries, where it sees an opportunity for growth. Fantastic. The 5 buildings in the factory meet high energy efficiency standards. Lego also has planted 50,000 trees, twice the number of the trees it cut to clear the land for the factory. It's the first Lego factory to replace single-use plastic bags with paper bags for packaging. Lego's founder, Ole Kirk Christensen, started the company as a wooden toy maker before patenting the iconic plastic bricks in 1958. It is still seeking a way to make its plastic bricks more environmentally friendly. Christensen said Lego bricks last decades and could be reused, though ultimately the ambition is to make them out of more renewable materials. He said that a third of the material used in Lego bricks made last year were from renewable and recycled sources, which was an article that we covered earlier this year, I believe. But that's more expensive than plastic made out of fossil fuels. Note, though, even though they're saying that, Lego ate the cost of that, and they were okay with it, which was awesome. It's not inexpensive at this point in time, but we believe if we lean into that, we help create a supply chain for the type of plastic materials that are not based on fossil fuel, he said. To everybody at Lego who has been working to build this new plant that is going to be an energy efficient Lego plant and pushing the boundary of Lego production, moving into, more climate friendly Legos. Cheers. All right, that's going to get us out of science and technology. We're going to move on to category 2, health and medicine. Julie's working on a Lego zoo. And Nico, glad to support them. Yes, I am super happy to support Lego as well. That is fantastic. All right, so health and medicine. First article we've got here, we called Some Sort of Magic Bean Dust. And I will copy and paste this into the chat if y'all want to read along. This plant-based gum neutralizes 95% of flu and herpes viruses and could curb the next pandemic. That's right, this is the only acceptable gum to be chewing in public. In our increasingly connected world, infectious diseases are a growing threat. Outbreaks of viruses like H1N1, SARS, Ebola, Zika, and H5N1, the bird flu, along with the COVID-19 pandemic, have shown how quickly diseases can spread and how serious their global health and economic impacts can be. Even more common viruses also create serious challenges. Seasonal influenza returns every year, leading to widespread illness and costing the U.S. more than $11.2 billion annually. Herpes simplex virus 1, or HSV1, which spreads mainly through oral contact, infects more than 2/3 of the global population and is the leading cause of infectious blindness in Western countries. Low vaccination rates for the flu and the absence of a vaccine for HSV highlight the need for new strategies. One promising approach is to reduce viral load at the point of transmission. For viruses like flu and HSV, which are often spread more easily through the mouth than the nose, this means targeting the oral cavity. Now, in a study published in Molecular Therapy, researchers at the School of Dental Medicine at the University of Pennsylvania and collaborators in Finland have done just that. Building on their previous work, now in clinical trial, showing that a similar approach was able to reduce SARS-CoV-2 in COVID-19 patients' saliva or swab samples by more than 95%, Henry Daniel, W.D. Miller professor in Penn School of Dental Medicine, and collaborators tested the ability of a chewing gum made from lab beans, Lab purpureus, that naturally contain an antiviral trap protein called FRIL to neutralize two herpes simplex viruses, HSV1 and HSV2, and two influenza A strains, H1N1 and H3N2. That's right, the chewing gum is stopping the virus. The chewing gum formulation allowed for effective and consistent release of FRIL at sites of viral infection. They demonstrated that 40 milligrams of a 2-gram bean gum tablet was adequate to reduce viral loads by more than 95%, a reduction similar to what they saw in their SARS-CoV-2 study. Importantly, the researchers prepared the gum as a clinical-grade drug product to comply with the FDA specifications for drug products and found the gum to be safe. Daniel notes, these observations augur well for evaluating bean gum in human clinical studies to minimize virus infection and transmission. Daniel and his colleagues are now looking to use lab bean powder to tackle bird flu, which is currently having a significant impact in North America. In the previous 3 months, 54 million birds have been affected by H5N1, and several human infections have been reported in the US and Canada. Previously, bean powder was shown by others to effectively neutralize H5N1 and H7N9, two strains of influenza A known to cause bird flu in humans as well as birds. Daniel and colleagues are currently looking to test its use in bird feed to help control bird flu in birds. Controlling transmission of viruses continues to be a major global challenge. A broad-spectrum antiviral protein, FRIL, present in natural food product, the bean powder, to neutralize not only human flu viruses but also avian flu, is a timely innovation to prevent their infection and transmission, says Daniel. That is awesome. So basically, Dr. Daniel at University of Pennsylvania, along with collaborators in Finland, are tackling flu and herpes with chewing gum. To them, cheers. That's pretty crazy. This next one we called Waves of Inclusion, and I will copy and paste this into the chat if y'all want to read along. And magic bean powder. Producer Donna says, don't forget magic bean powder. Champion bodyboarders helped NSW's senior silver surfers embrace the waves. This was posted on ABC News Australia on March 29th, and it was written by Emma Shosian. I think that's how that's pronounced. Ruth Goodwin enjoys a regular morning swim at her local beach, but bodyboarding wasn't something on her radar. That was until the 66-year-old took part in a Silver Surfers bodyboarding clinic under the guidance of two former world champions, Damien King and Ben Player. NSW is New South Wales. Thank you, Producer Donna. Miss Goodwin came away from the event at Port Macquarie on the NSW mid-north coast as a convert to the cause. I like to encourage people to come and have a dose of vitamin C, she said, spelled S-E-A. That's adorable. It really does so much for you mentally and physically. I wanted to call this, there was a slightly more offensive title that I had for this, and I can't remember if it was Surfs Up Geriatrics or something like that. But this is really cool. Basically, these two former world champion bodyboarders are putting on classes, instructive classes for older patients, and it's really neat. Surfers for Climate launched the Silver Surfers Initiative for over 60-year-olds on Sydney's northern beaches in October of 2024, and they have since spread to regional New South Wales. Sydney-based Ben Player, who has also been the world champion bodyboarder 3 times, has taken on a chief coaching role in the clinics and can also utilize local surf schools. I think it's really important to get older people in the water and get them active. It's low-impact fitness, a nice, safe environment, a new experience for cognitive behavior, as well as providing a good social environment, Player said. I think this is my 12th event now. We've spent time with a crew at Warrnambool in Victoria and Sydney's southern beaches. Bill Oliver was among about a dozen seniors hitting the waves at the Port Macquarie Clinic. It's so much fun and great just to be nicely instructed. I felt as if I knew what I was doing, he said. There are a few other quotes in here. From Mrs. Goodwin, from Ruth Goodwin, I am a dialysis patient myself, so I encourage people to do things to stay active and fit. It's helped me enormously. And then I think this one is from, I'm not sure who, I think this one might be from Ben Player. It's all about seeing the smiles. People are a little bit cautious and apprehensive before they get out there, and you see them catch their first wave and their whole face lights up. It's really a beautiful thing. And then from Bill Oliver, this was my first time ever bodyboarding, but I am going to do this more regularly. That's cool. Port Macquarie's Rose Pitar also plans to give bodyboarding another go. It's been amazing, she said, and I think we managed on our own in the end, so that was great. Port Macquarie's 3-time world champion bodyboarder Damian King, just home after competing at Hawaii's Pipeline, embraced the opportunity to help out at a local clinic. Hello, Charlie. It brings you back to the roots of why we started this sport when we were kids, to enjoy it, King said. They all have smiles on their face. Surfers for Climate Chief Executive Josh Kirkman, a former Australian champion bodyboarder, said the aim of the clinics was to engage older people with the sport, while sparking conversations about climate change. We want to get older people having that experience of catching a wave, get them having that stoke that so many surfers take for granted, he said. We can also start from there to have conversations about how this group of people can be part of looking after the ocean. That is awesome. Mr. Kirkman said the Silver Surfers clinics have proved popular with women, and he hoped to encourage a greater acceptance of all ages and genders in the surf. There are women surfing, there's young grommets who are surfing, and they aren't all riding surfboards. There's a really diverse group of surfers with multiple identities in the sport, he said. I am hoping to really turn the dial up on that, particularly through Silver Surfers. For me, if the surf lineup becomes a safer, more inclusive space that's open to discussions about the role we can play in protecting the ocean and looking after our coastlines, that would be a huge outcome. Mr. Kirkman said an increasing number of women were embracing bodyboarding later in life, including groups like the Granny Grommets at Albany. It's an incredibly positive movement forming and something we want to support and scale up in a big way, he said. That is awesome. To the Silver Surfers and the organization, what was the name of the organization again? Surfers for Climate. Cheers. Catch a wave. Apparently Charlie is tuning in late because she was busy, she was inspired and got the zoomies in the kitchen. There's a massive seared chuck roast going in the crock pot for barbacoa. I am making coconut-covered peanut butter no-bakes, and I currently have an experiment in the oven. Cracked chicken pot pie. Charlie, what? That sounds amazing. Nico following that up with yum. All right, so that's going to get us out of health and medicine. We're going to move on to category 3, flora and fauna, aka plants and animals. And this first article is a little morbid, We called it the Circle of Unlife. And I will copy and paste this into the chat if y'all want to be mortified. Cannibal tadpoles help Australia fight invasive species. This was published on Popular Science on April 10th, 2025 by Andrew Paul. And this is straight up nightmare fuel. Genetically modified cannibal tadpoles may be the solution to Australia's nearly century-old invasive cane toad problem. According to researchers, removing a single gene that controls production of a hormone called thyroxine can create swarms of tadpoles incapable of their usual metamorphosis into adult amphibians. Cane toad tadpoles have ravenous appetites already, so prolonging this life stage allows the modified hatchlings to devour as many as 3 times the toad eggs than normal. That's right. By switching off a single gene, scientists have managed to prevent cane toads from turning from tadpoles into toads. And while they're tadpoles, they are horrifically cannibalistic. We seem to have ended up with these sort of quite large, relatively long-lived, voracious cannibals that are just ideally suited to control the numbers of their own species. Rick Shine, an evolutionary biologist and ecologist at Australia's Macquarie University, explained to Australia's ABC News. Charlie, I mean, can we eat them? I'd fry frogs up. Julie, circle of cannibalism. Charlie said, so, toddlers. Just straight out of Highlandering frogs. There can be only one. It's been about 90 years since Australia introduced tropical cane toads, Rhinella marina, onto Queensland farms. Around 2,400 toads were released into the wild in 1935 in an attempt to rein in agricultural pests. If I remember right, it was a specific type of beetle that they thought, oh, the toads will eat all the beetles. That didn't happen. But instead of controlling destructive sugarcane beetle populations, there it is, the amphibians quickly became their own ecological catastrophe. With no major predators and a devastating effect on native reptile species, the cane toad turned into a case study for invasive species. Today, an estimated 200 million cane toads are hopping across northern Australia with no signs of slowing down. Female cane toads can lay upwards of 30,000 eggs per clutch twice a year. Researchers theorize that genetically modifying even a fraction of those clutches could significantly curb the overall numbers. Unfortunately, Shine's team still faces a bit of a conundrum. If their Peter Pan tadpoles never grow up, then they aren't able to reproduce more cannibalistic offspring. The team's current process requires manually injecting individual frog eggs with a solution that neutralizes the thyroxine hormone, which isn't possible to scale. Shine and colleagues are already working on some potential solutions. One option may involve adding thyroxine into a body of water after releasing the genetically modified tadpoles, thereby allowing some of them to grow into adulthood. Those cane toads would in turn eventually produce their own Peter Pan hatchlings, allowing researchers to repeat the cycle. So, that's the theory. Release the genetically modified tadpoles, hit them with thyroxine in their water so it triggers them to grow up, but then the tadpoles they produce are going to be the Peter Pan tadpoles that are just going to eat all the tadpole eggs and all the cane toad eggs. So this is a cycle of unlife that is horrifying and potentially very, very possibly a solution. If we could raise those young toads to adult size and breed them, then we would have 20,000 or 30,000 Peter Pan tadpoles per clutch, Shine explained. It wouldn't really take very many adult toads with that genetic change for us to have a vast supply of the sorts of tadpoles we'd like, the ones that don't grow up. Work still needs to be done to produce healthy adult Peter Pan toads, but Shine's team believes further research will produce the desired effects. Meanwhile, the project will require rigorous evaluation by Australian regulatory authorities before trials can begin in the wild, because you don't want to release things like this without study. Just look at killer bees. So, to everybody in Australia trying to fight the cane toad the explosive invasive cane toad species, by turning them into Peter Pan tadpoles that are horribly cannibalistic, cheers. And I never thought that string of words would leave my mouth. Becky, oh, this is how the zombie apocalypse starts. Nico agrees with Becky, and Dirty Rogue, it's in the water! Oh, man. Okay, this next one is great. We called this next one Penguins Peck Back, Contribute to Global Economy. I will copy and paste this into the chat. This is hilarious. As I've said with Nick's News, part of our whole message, our whole, organizational goal is to counter the bad news we're bombarded with on a daily basis, which a lot of that recently has been about the global economy. So when we saw this article, we had to go with this, because this is great. This is just golden. You can buy a pebble from the tariffed Heard Island penguins to support wildlife conservation. This was posted to goodgoodgood.co on April 11th of 2025 by Megan Cook. On April 2nd, President Donald Trump imposed a 10% tariff on goods exported from a handful of uninhabited volcanic islands near Antarctica. Well, uninhabited by humans. According to World Wildlife Fund Australia, 2 islands in the heart of the Southern Ocean, Hart Island and McDonald Islands, are home to some of the most iconic and ecologically significant penguin species on the planet, including the macaroni, eastern rockhopper, gentoo, and king penguins. And now you can support those vulnerable penguin species by buying pebbles from them at the Heard Island Pebble Shop. Link in the description, or link in the article. The website, created by Kindred Studio co-founders Mia Novak and Janelle Mays, is written from the perspective of the Heard Island penguins. When we heard Trump had put a 10% tariff on exports from our island, we were in quite a flap, reads a statement on the Heard Island Pebbles website. Sure, no humans live here, but maybe it was time to contribute to the global economy. So we put our beaks together and devised a plan to launch our first ever export. Pebbles. Used traditionally for nest building, romantic gestures, and chick entertainment, pebbles are now being sold to humans worldwide in a playful attempt to build their nest worth and give back to the environment, Kindred Studio added in a press release. Charlie, I'm about to buy so many rocks. I mean, I might too, and I might, put them in places that you can see. I actually just realized I forgot to put the new Godzilla plushie up. That's my bad. On the Heard Island Pebbles shop, a digital pebble is listed as a stunning symbolic purchase to donate money to conservation efforts. The team at Heard Island Pebble added the illustrated graphic is wonderful for posting on social media to show your support for the penguins of Heard Island, and your confusion on why tariffs were imposed on a human-free place. The shop also features a real, tangible pebble that's wonderful for nest building, impressing love interests, or keeping the chicks entertained. If you're not a penguin, our pebbles make great pot plant decor, paperweights, or a centerpiece for weighty conversations on international trade, the website adds. Please note, if you live in America, pebbles will cost an extra 10%, because tariffs! Frowning face. The tongue-in-cheek website isn't just good for a laugh. 100% of the proceeds will be donated to WWF Australia to help protect the penguins of Heard Island and support broader conservation efforts in that region. That is awesome. According to WWF Australia, current protection levels for the species are inadequate. If we want to protect this pristine wilderness and ensure the survival of its iconic penguin species, we must take action now. In addition to purchasing pebbles, penguin lovers can sign an online petition calling on the Australian Minister for the Environment and Water, Tanya Plibersek, to increase protection for the critical marine habitats and even adopt a penguin. A donation that comes with a penguin, stuffed animal, and an adoption certificate. And there is a link for that too if you want to adopt a penguin. Julie says, I'm going to need some fancy rocks. Charlie says, hey, I'd totally swoon if my man brought me a rock. Adopt a penguin today, and you'll be helping to protect them and other vulnerable animals from extinction. WWF Australia writes, your kindness will help defend their habitat and food sources to ensure our incredible wildlife remain part of our world forever. Becky's gonna buy so many rocks too. That is awesome. To the World Wildlife Fund or Foundation, World Wildlife Fund Australia, and the Herd and McDonald Island Penguins for selling rocks to support the global economy. Cheers. Julie's saying she needs to adopt a penguin. Alright, so that's going to get us out of flora and fauna. We are going to move on to category 4, the wholesome notes. There was a bit of a word scramble. We called this first one, The Lovers, the Dreamers, and Me. And I will copy and paste this into the chat if y'all want to read along. Kermit the Frog will be the University of Maryland's 2025 commencement speaker. It's me. This was posted on March 27th of 2025 by Charna Flam. University of Maryland graduates are getting a unique send-off this spring. The university just announced that this year, graduating students will be visited by none other than Kermit the Frog, who will deliver their commencement speech on Wednesday, May 21st. The world's most famous amphibian's appearance follows his sold-out visit to the College Park campus in the fall. At the start of the video unveiling the big surprise, the university teased that the speaker had a successful resume and was an international superstar, best-selling author, environmental advocate, Peabody Award winner, amphibitarian, and a friend to all creatures. For anybody who didn't pick up on all the hints, the video concluded with the famous puppet appearing on screen and saying, I guess it's me. Nothing could make these feet happier than to speak at the University of Maryland. I just know that the class of 2025 is going to leap into the world and make it a better place. So if a few encouraging words from a frog can help, then I'll be there, Kermit said in a statement provided by the school. The university noted that the lovable puppet's appearance honors the long history between University of Maryland and Muppets creator Jim Henson. Henson, who graduated from the University of Maryland in 1960, also has a bronze statue of himself and Kermit in a campus garden outside the student center. Henson crafted the first version of Kermit from his mother's old coat and a ping pong ball cut in half for eyes. And he served as the original voice of Kermit until his death in 1990. When graduation day rolls around, Kermit will be voiced by Matt Vogel, the puppeteer who took over for Steve Whitmire in 2017. I am thrilled that our graduates and their families will experience the optimism and insight of the world-renowned Kermit the Frog at such a meaningful time in their lives, University of Maryland President Daryl J. Pines said in a statement. Our pride in Jim Henson knows no bounds, and it is an honor to welcome Kermit the Frog to our campus 65 years after Mr. Henson graduated from the University of Maryland. I sincerely thank the Muppet Studio, Disney, and their creative teams for making this possible, Pines added. Although an unexpected speaker, this isn't Kermit's first time giving a commencement speech. In 1996, he delivered a commencement address to the graduating class of Southampton College of Long Island University and was awarded an honorary doctorate of amphibious letters degree for his help in raising environmental awareness, per CNN. May success and a smile always be yours. Even when you're knee-deep in the sticky muck of life, he said during the 1996 speech per CNN. That is awesome. To the University of Maryland and to Kermit the Frog, who will be hosting the commencement at that college this year in May. Cheers. Charlie says, oh God, I would be sobbing. Julie says, Kermie! And I know that this is like, I heard on NPR that this has kind of generated some controversy, but at the same time, when you kind of look at it, and if you could think of uplifting people right now that could deliver commencement speeches, sending young minds off into the world to do great things and change things for the better, Kermit the Frog ranks up there pretty high for me, at least. That'd be pretty baller to have Kermit the Frog speak at my commencement, so I'd be down for it. All right, last article of the night. We called this Data Chew, I Choose You. I'm going to copy and paste this into the chat if y'all want to read along. Middle-aged man trading cards go viral in rural Japan town. This was posted to the Tokyo Weekender on March 25th of 2025 by Inez Sarah Filial. Charlie, could you imagine if they had Steve from Blue's Clues? Figure with the generation that's graduating too, that'd hit hard. Yep, Steve from Blue's Clues would be another big one. In the small town of Kawara in Fukuoka Prefecture, something unexpected is happening at the Saidosho Community Center. While kids in most parts of Japan are obsessed with Pokemon cards, or perhaps the franchise's latest smartphone game, Pokemon TCG Pocket, the children of Kawara are clutching to something a little closer to home. They are playing a trading card game where the stars aren't fantasy creatures, anime heroes, or even famous baseball players, but Oji-san, middle-aged or older men from the local community of Saidosho. And looking at some of these cards, they are amazing. On the surface, this Oji-san trading card game looks like any other collectible card game. As of March 18th, there are 47 different cards in the collection, including 28 featuring local men with stats and special abilities. Take the Firewall card, for example. It features Mr. Honda, who is 74 years old, a former fire brigade chief who helped keep the town safe for decades. Then there's Soba Master Mr. Takeshita, who is 81, who runs a local soba noodle making class and now holds legendary status among the town's youth. The most popular of them all is probably all-rounder Mr. Fuji, 68 years old, a former prison officer turned community volunteer. His card is so sought after that local kids have even started asking him for autographs. I was honestly shocked when they asked me to sign it, Mr. Fuji said, laughing. I never imagined I'd become a trading card, let alone have fans. Each card comes with different attacks and an assigned element type, just like a classic fantasy card game, but with a humorous real-world edge. For instance, Firewall is, unsurprisingly, a fire type, equipped with a Super Guard move, which deals a hefty 200 damage. A card called Plasma Conductor, featuring a smiling, bespectacled Oji-san juxtaposed with an image of a light bulb, is an electric type. At the bottom of the card, there is a line of text explaining how he can fix any electrical appliance without fail. These are awesome. These cards are fantastic. The creator of the game is Eri Miyahara, the Secretary General of the Saidosho Community Council. We wanted to strengthen the connection between the children and the older generations in the community. There are so many amazing people here. I thought it was such a shame that no one knew about them, she said in an interview with Fuji News Network, or the FNN. Since the card game went viral, so many kids are starting to look up to these men as heroic figures. The plan worked. Kids have started attending local events and volunteering for community activities, just for a chance to meet the Oji-san from their cards. Participation in town events has reportedly doubled since the game launched. Interestingly, Oji-san trading card game didn't start as a competitive game. The first set of cards was designed purely for collecting, but the local children quickly turned it into something more dynamic. They began comparing stats and declaring, "My card is stronger than yours." Seeing this, the game's creator decided to take it to the next level. New rules were introduced, allowing the cards to be used in actual battles. The objective isn't to defeat the opponent's card, but to outplay it based on the character's skills and abilities. The rarity of a card isn't based on fantasy stats. It's tied to real-world contributions. The more actively the Oji-san engages in volunteer work or community service, the higher the chances of their card being upgraded to a shiny version with a glossy laminated effect. So there's shiny old men versions of these cards. This is awesome. Can you imagine if we did like a trading card game of like the people that we've looked up to? And like that'd be fantastic. While the cards, all made entirely by hand, are currently in high demand and often out of stock, they are only available for sale at the Saidosho Community Center. Charlie in the chat, oh my god, I want to see an event where they have the older men dress up or something and fake battle each other. That'd be so cute. That'd be adorable. A pack of 3 cards costs about 100 yen, while a pack of 6 cards, including a shiny card, costs 500 yen. Despite the limited supply, demand remains high, with many kids saving their pocket money for a chance to score a shiny version of their favorite Oji-san. That is awesome. Oh, Becky threw out doing waypoint cards for the waypoint LARP. That would be pretty cool, too. This is really neat. Yep, this is cool from Julie in the chat. This is great. To everybody in the small town of Kawara in the Fukuoka Prefecture, in conjunction with the Saidosho Community Center for making an Oji-san trading card game to honor their older individuals and to bridge the gap between the younger and older generations. Cheers. Well, that is it for tonight. 8 amazing articles. Absolutely hilarious ending that on an Oji-san trading card game. Didn't see that one coming. Thank you all again for tuning in or catching the replay on the Knicks News Facebook page or YouTube page. Usually with the Facebook page, it's just a link to the YouTube because our files are pretty big. So it'll be a link. It'll go up probably on Monday. Again, we're live every Sunday here on YouTube, and our next episode will be on April 20th. Yes, April 20th of 2025. I encourage participation, so if you feel inclined, you can send in, you can post suggestions for news brews, for shout-outs, for news quotes, and especially good news articles that we can present on future episodes. If you send us a bunch of articles, I would love you to spread them out across our 4 categories, and those categories, again, were science and technology, health and medicine, flora and fauna, aka plants and animals, and wholesome notes, the really nice, fun articles we like to end on that pull at your heartstrings. You can message us on Facebook or Instagram, or email us at somebudgetstudios@gmail.com. Links are in the description. Feel free to like, subscribe, or comment on our Facebook and YouTube page and get the good news and joy into the algorithm. We are constantly pushing, striving to get our good news out into the algorithm. We have seen tremendous growth. I can't thank you all enough. I'm never going to tell you what to do, but I can't thank you all enough from the bottom of my heart for every like, subscribe, and comment. It is driving up our numbers, and we are growing. We are constantly growing, and I'm very pleased with that because this Hope Core stuff that we do, we got to get it out into the world. We are countering and combating all the bad news we're bombarded with on a daily basis, and we're so happy to do so. Thanks to all of you, so thank you. As always, thank you again. I love you all. Have a great night, and I will play us out.